Hello, so in this devlog it's going to be a little bit different to my previous ones. I'm going to play the game while just talking about a few of the things that I've done over the past week or so in the game, just updates and things like that. So there's not a lot to share, but there's a few things that are quite interesting anyway, hopefully, and we'll see how that goes. But let's get into the game anyway. So we'll start a new game. Are you sure? Yes, of course we are. So it opens up like this. You've just got a basic introduction, then you get into the tutorial level. But one of the first things that I've added, so you know, a lot of this is test stuff. So the door will not be there in the final level. This orb will not be there either. It was a lot of test stuff. But the first thing that I added is some rumble. So in Game Maker, it's very easy to add sort of haptic rumble with a gamepad. So I've added that into certain sections. So if you dash forward, you get a little bit of rumble. And when I activated that orb as well, you get a bit of rumble in that. The other thing which took a little bit of time to work out actually was one-way platforms. Based on how I'm doing the platforms, and by one way what I mean is, you know, you can jump through it this way, you land, you don't collide with it. It just took, based on how I'm doing the platforms, it just took a bit more work than I expected, to be honest, but I've got that resolved now anyway. The slopes, obviously, that's all sorted as well. But the other thing that I've added in is Coyote time, which, you know, it's sort of a staple of platform games now. Everybody talks about Coyote time. I don't know if this originated with Celeste or if it happened, you know, if that phrase was coined before Celeste, I'm not sure. I think Celeste is the first time I heard about it, but maybe it's, you know, decades old. I'm not too sure. But Coyote time, for those who don't know, I'm sure most people do, is that you just get a few extra frames as you leave a platform and you're about to drop. You just get a couple of extra frames so you can still jump and make the jump. It just makes the platforming a little bit more satisfying and falls in line with a lot of player expectations and things like that. So I've added that in there as well. And actually it was especially needed in this part. Something that I'll get to in a moment in this video is that originally when I had this tree, you've got these platforms on this tree, which is just sort of a hand-drawn, you know, background basically. But when you're colliding with this tree, it makes it very unsatisfying to scale. If you're colliding from the bottom and you're hitting that branch above, you sort of have to go round like that, and if you can just go straight through it, just makes it a much better experience. So that was one of the main reasons, but it makes it a lot better in many ways, to be quite honest with you. And it's something that I always wanted to do. I've been holding off on doing it, but all of these platforms now work in that way. And yeah, it's one of those little design things where I was thinking maybe I don't need that, but it makes it a more satisfying experience anyway, for the most part. So we've got this section that I mentioned in the last video as well. So we've got these little bats. I'm not entirely happy. I need to make them move a little bit better, and oh, died. Yeah, so I need to do something a little bit with this just to make the animation maybe a bit better, or make them change direction, something like that anyway. But that works pretty well anyway, and we just go through this tutorial level. It's opening things up a little bit for people. So I do want to have like a wide variety of backgrounds in this game as well. This tutorial level is taking people through a very brief journey of some of the artistic changes, but there's not that many, and I want to keep surprises. That's the thing, I want to keep surprises in the game, so that's why I've kept it relatively low, but I want to give them the players an idea of what to expect as well. So that's why I've done it in this way. It's like a very varied, mixed up, it does feel a little bit mixed up kind of level, but it is a tutorial level, so it's just like an introduction, I suppose. Oh, I'm not doing very well. We're nearly at the end of the tutorial level now anyway, so I'll just quickly mention, so just on this, as you fall down there, you've got the lost memory fragment. This part here is going to be blocked off. This is the exit just over there, but this part is going to be blocked off in the game, and then you have to collect this lost memory fragment, which is the orb I mentioned at the beginning of the game as well. So you collect that orb, a little bit of rumble in the gamepad, but the idea is that that's going to play into the story of the game as well. So you're traveling through these old drawings and diary entries of this person that made this, did all of these drawings, and it's just like the story of his life told through these drawings through various eras. That's the idea of the game anyway. But the lost memory fragments will be collectibles. The single, probably single collectible in the game, and then they will open up, so you'll be collecting these and you'll get a little bit extra story if you collect. The more you collect, the more of that extra story that will be told to you. But that's pretty much it for the tutorial level. And this is the other thing that I've finished, well, mostly finished. I shouldn't say entirely finished. This is the boss level at the end of the tutorial level. And last time I mentioned I wasn't entirely happy with the background or anything like that. And actually the design of the level has changed slightly, not too much, but yeah, so I've changed things here. The background is much more consistent, just it makes a better level. Last time it was a little bit fragmented in terms of the artistic style and things like that with it, but it makes more sense now. Pretty pleased with it. It's not perfect. There's still things that I need to sort out with it, but yeah, that's the other thing. And finally, the final thing that I did this past week or so is let my wife play through the game so far, and it's quite eye-opening, I've got to say, when you do that, because you don't realise some of the things that you think are easy in the game, but based on the way you've designed them, you think these are actually really, really easy sections. They're not. And you know, I'm gonna get my son to play through it as well, but I've had to change a couple of things in there, and just some of the, it's like things I thought were generally self-explanatory are not, and once you see it from the other side you can easily understand why they're not self-explanatory as well. It's like the route around this boss level, I need to make that a little bit clearer as well at the beginning. So originally I noticed that when my wife was, let me just get back down to this. So when my wife got to this point here, got to the checkpoint, the boss falls down, the blocks start falling, and she was trying to go back in this direction, and I've actually made it a little bit more clear now why you can't go back in that direction. Before it was a little bit more ambiguous, so I need some kind of pointer here to make sure that the player knows to go past the ogre and then start taking the path in this direction, going up and around the ogre in that way. So yeah, few things to think about really as well with this, but that's pretty much it. You know, I've been working on refining some of the things and just making it a little bit more polished. I think that's the main thing that I've been doing. Once I've got all the systems in place, I know that at that point I can then just carry on and just basically make assets, make levels. It's all about level design and that point. But I want to make the game feel polished. I want it to make it feel good to play, and that's really a lot of what I'm focusing on at the moment, and then I can focus on other stuff later on. But that's pretty much it, I guess. You can go through that door, start the next level, work a little way through that, but there's not too much really. But that's pretty much it for this video anyway. Thank you for watching these devlogs. They are just sort of like a personal document more or less, so I can look back on them, but hopefully people can get something out. I'm not a game dev, this is the thing. I've got plans to, maybe I'll make a video on this. I'm not a game dev, this is a hobby for me, and a lot of the videos that I watch on YouTube, or a lot of those related videos anyway, are about, you know, I've quit my job and I'm making my dream game, or those kinds of things, which I'm never going to do that. This is a hobby and it will be on Steam and we'll see what it does. I don't expect it to do particularly well, to be honest, but you know, just the satisfaction of having a game on Steam and getting that out there, maybe then I can focus on another game that will do better. I hope it does well, but we'll see. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.